The Netherlands was not the love at first sight, I have to admit this. It developed over time. Now I'm happy here, but you know how it goes with expats. A small pitfall and we immediately think, I want to go home. I feel like I should move back home. I guess after 6.5 years, the definition of home got blurred or even changed in a way. Home where, Tanya? Do you want to go back to Eindhoven? You are in Eindhoven. This is your home. Moscow is where my parents are, and I don't know, maybe you can relate. I feel nostalgic at times, and there are certain places in Moscow that are dear to my heart, like driving along Arbat at night or go shopping to certain places with mom. It's funny in a way how things change. The place in Moscow that my parents have is their place now. Initially it was my place, I used to live there, but it no longer feels like home. It no longer feels like it's my place. My place is here and they in Moscow, it's their place. By now I grew to be very happy here in the Netherlands and I can tell you a number of reasons why, but the most important thing is that I am very happy and content and grateful for where I am and who I've become. 2 months in Bali was the longest I was outside of the Netherlands since I moved here in 2016. I missed the country. When I boarded a KLM plane in Singapore and I heard Dutch announcements and there was a Dutch-speaking cabin crew, I was like, feels home. And then I landed in the Netherlands and I could speak Dutch again and I just felt this vibe of the Netherlands and I was like, yay, I'm so happy, I'm home. Because I was so young when I moved here, I absorbed a lot of Dutch norms, traditions and habits. But there are still some things that I don't really like about the Netherlands. The point of this video is not to criticize, but just share my perspective in case it resonates or in case it might help you make up your mind if you are thinking whether or not you should move to the Netherlands. Number one is Dutch weather. I would not underestimate this factor. However, there are still some nuances and subtleties that you might not expect, and I will talk about them in a second. I personally feel happy when it's sunny, and with the gloomy weather, I also feel gloomy. When it's cold and grey outside, I feel lazier. I don't feel like leaving home and participate in any activities outside of my place. When it's sunnier, I am much more prone to leave my place and go outside, walk, smile, enjoy the nice weather, and I feel happier. If you're thinking whether it's just me or the weather has the same effect on everybody, I looked it up to see if there is a correlation between the weather and mood. 4 researchers, I will share their names here, conducted a study where they asked participants to fill in an online diary sharing their states from July 2005 to February 2007. So the period was lengthy, but I'm not sure if the participants were filling in the diary digitally every day or they did it rather sporadically. So let's keep that in mind. The results revealed, I'm gonna read it to you, that sunlight had a main effect on tiredness and mediated the effects of precipitation and air pressure on tiredness. This means that even if it's rainy but sunny, you are still more likely to feel happy. Vitamin D3, which is produced in skin exposed to the hormone of sunlight, has been found to change serotonin levels in the brain, which could account for changes in mood. I sort of anticipated this result, but I read on. The average effect of weather on mood was only small and varying across individuals, especially regarding the effect of photo periods, in plain English, sunlight or daylight. When I was reading this, I was like, did researchers take gender, age and personality traits into account? They did and found that differences in weather sensitivity cannot be explained by these factors. So they couldn't really explain this and just said that people can differ in weather sensitivity independent from other personality traits. So what's the conclusion of this research? The conclusion is that the weather does matter when it comes to mood, especially daylight or sunlight matters, but the degree how weather affects people can vary, and this depends on personal sensitivity. What this means for us here? This means that I can be very sensitive to the weather and my moods can change drastically depending on the weather, but you might not be as sensitive. If you are as sensitive as myself, think twice before moving to the Netherlands, because it can get very depressing and gloomy and dark from approximately November up until February. Or if you still do decide to move here, think perhaps of where and how you can escape Dutch winters. Number 2, no Dutch friends. This sounds so dramatic and sad when I say this, but I don't mean that during 6.5 years I haven't developed any relationship with Dutchies, but it's more like I don't have any Dutch person in my closest circle. We do hang out sometimes and catch up, but they are not in my closest circle. Because for me, when it comes to the Dutch, it's really hard to find there what I'm looking for in a connection. An average Dutch person would give you a closed off, cold and reserved vibe. They are friendly and welcoming, yes, but the way they express the warmth is through a direct and honest communication, which sometimes can be perceived blunt, too direct, and even rude. It can definitely catch you off guard sometimes. For me personally, I really appreciate the warmth in the sense of how invested people are in your life by the questions that they ask you, and just an overarching feeling, I care about you, I see you. I get that it takes time and effort to arrive at this point in any relationship, but with the Dutch, it's very tricky to get to that point at all. Which brings me to effort versus return. I know and appreciate that the Dutch are very loyal and supportive friends. If they committed to something, they're gonna stick with this commitment. I don't know how long though it's gonna take to arrive at this point with the Dutch person. I view any relationship as a two-way street, and I don't have the patience to always be the one who follows up and proposes to meet. And even when we do meet, it feels like the Dutchies are just doing you a favor, because in a now they have to be elsewhere, and judge yourself how deep you can go during this hour. For me, the depth of connection is very important. My close circle of people are the people with whom I can go deep. I met many Dutchies who are interesting to talk to and who are fun to be around, but I haven't met many who can offer the warmth and depth I'm looking for. To be fair, generally speaking, the percentage of people like this is very small, but with the Dutch it feels like it's even smaller. Dutch people may feel more comfortable speaking their native language, which can be a barrier for those who don't speak Dutch. Well, learn language, you'd say, right? What's the problem? In the Netherlands, it goes approximately like this. Wat kan ik voor je doen? Mag ik een pakketje versturen? Yes. Put it here. Ja, geen probleem. Mag ik ook hier een retourlabel printen? Yes, it will cost you €1. Spreek je ook Nederlands of zo? Waarom blijf je in het Engels antwoorden? Ik ben toch in het oefenen. Oh, I just wanted to make it easier for you. So, do you want to get it for €1 or not? You get the point, right? When the Dutch hear your accent, they immediately switch back to English. Yes, you can get tons of courses and tutors, and this will help you to get to A2 or B1, but to get from B1 to C1, you need to practice with the Dutch, or should I say with Dutch speakers. So after a couple of tries like this, you find yourself in a catch-22 where you cannot really get into a Dutch circle because your Dutch is not good enough for it, but nobody also wants to speak Dutch with you, so you don't have an opportunity to practice and to master the language. Number 3, small houses. Small houses are quite common in the Netherlands due to a combination of factors. One factor is that the space is quite limited in many urban areas, especially in the west where population density is high. As a result, many homes are built in smaller lots and have less square footage than homes in other countries. Another factor is that the Dutch culture tends to prioritize efficiency and sustainability, which is reflected in how they build homes. Dutch homes are designed to maximize the use of space and resources. That's why you might see a lot of homes with clever features like built-in storage. I understand the Dutch design philosophy, and given the size of the country, environmental and cultural factors, it totally makes sense to me. However, personally, I have two issues with that. One is I simply like more space. For me personally, I don't need a big penthouse, but I like reasonably big houses or apartments. Two, it's just overpriced. The housing market in the Netherlands has been really competitive in recent years because there is a shortage of houses and so limited supply, but a huge demand for houses, especially in urban areas. In 2021, I nearly bought a place in the Netherlands and it looked like a box with the wooden box as a bathroom. Okay, fine, you get what you pay for, you'd say. I get your point of view and I think the same, but unfortunately it's not the case. This place cost a fortune. Let's not focus here on whether I should or should not have bought it, because that's beyond the point. I had other factors at play. But my point here is that the ratio of price versus quality is completely off in the Netherlands. An average house or an apartment is small and expensive. Of course, you can find something spacious here, but an average person would just simply not be able to afford it. I would not necessarily call these regrets because it's just something that doesn't fully work for me in the Netherlands. But like with everything, there is no perfect place or perfect person on earth because nothing and nobody has been created to satisfy our needs. It's just important to remember this, and it's all the matter of knowing your priorities and knowing what you can compromise on.